This is our video today on how to change out the hooks on the hit lever hoist. In this case, we're going to be using a 3/4 ton model. As you can see here, we don't have the hooks attached at all. This is the standard top hook that will come with your unit, and this is the new type of self-latching hook if you want to install it, the upgrade. Well, to change this, you'll need some metric sized wrenches. In this particular model, we need a 10mm wrench and also a 5mm hex key, or you can use a 5/16 one, and it'll get you by. To take these bolts off, we're going to be using a 13mm wrench, 13mm socket, extension bar, and also a ratchet wrench. And okay, we can start now. So the first step is we're going to take the 13mm socket, and we're going to take off these bolts you see here, all the nuts. So as you noticed, this is flipped on the back side. You take off this top plate, and sometimes it requires some gentle rocking. This is the tool that you see here with the gears exposed. So all you need to do to add on the hook is you lift off this little piece right here. So as you can see, we just took out that center shaft pin. Okay, we take that out. Then we get our new positive hooks. We're going to take off that little panel plate, and then we're going to slide on the new hook like so. And then finally, we then bolt it through. And we're going to tighten it down. Okay, so to tighten it down, this model, we're going to use a 10mm wrench to hold down the nut. And the hex bolt, we're going to use that 5mm hex key. Okay. Now, just for faster speed purposes, we're not going to fully tighten these down, but we're just going to give you the idea of how it's supposed to be fastened. Of course, when we do install it for customers, we just want to make sure it's fully snug and tightened. Okay, and then you can see it'll self-lock in place. Okay, so you see this center cavity right here? We're going to slide it so that it matches with this hole right here. And then we're going to put that center pin in again, like so. Okay, now that's locked in place. This shouldn't be going anywhere. And that part is finished. Then you get that top plate with the grease, okay? And then make sure it's fully aligned with all the holes of these gears. And you just place it back on place. If something feels like it's being forced, then it means that maybe one of the bolts isn't aligned, or the gears might be out of place. You can gently nudge it to make it sure it's in place, but if it requires a lot of force, then something is out of place and it has to be realigned. So in this case, it slid on pretty well. We then put on the 13mm bolts again. Now, just as a reminder, every different hoist is going to have a different sized bolt, but it's going to be metric sized, as that's the sizes that's used in Japan. And again, we just want to make sure we do this in like a circular pattern. You want to make sure the bolts are tightened firmly, but not fully snug. You're going to do that at the very end. But first, just make sure all of these ones have relatively even torque on it. So it's just tight enough. And then finally, we're going to go one more round around all of these units, all these bolts, to make sure they're tight. So one thing you got to notice is that this one is going to slide around a bit. So you gotta really watch this particular bolt. Okay. Okay.
Change its bottom hook.
Okay, so last part here is we're going to change the bottom hook. This one's probably the easiest part. Over here we have the bottom hook. We just take out that bolt, slide in that last chain link, and then we funnel the bolt right through that hole, like so. Then on the back side, we put in that nut, and there's a fixed groove, and it'll make sure that the nut doesn't go anywhere. We're going to use, well, in this case, it needs a bigger hex key, but you just fasten this fully in place, and yeah, it should be good to go.